think. Next question. Several years ago, DPZ Partners conducted a massive project regarding town planning involving a certain portion of Bethel centering around Greenwood Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
For this, they received approximately $250,000.
Mm-hmm.
I see that there are payments being made, approved to the same company in the amounts of several $1,000s at a time. Is this company on retainer as a consultant, or what are these payments that were not covered in the massive plan they outlined? I think the last payments were earlier this year that are shown on the minutes of meetings in Board of Selectmen as being
Board of
approved.
Selectmen?
Yeah.
No. We have approved no payments to DPZ Partners.
Okay, I'll have to find that for you.
Yeah, you'd have to clarify that,
Okay.
because
I wasn't
well,
going to
first
bring
of
a bunch
all,
of papers with me
we
tonight.
don't, unlike the Public Utilities Commission, we don't approve individual invoices anyway. If there's an approved expenditure that has been ratified through the whole budget process, that just goes straight through the comptroller's office for payment, and that's why we have a comptroller. They control those expenses, apply them to the right area, but I have no idea what payments to DPZ have anything to do with the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
You'd have to,
I'll clarify it.
yeah.
Now, the next question also regards payment. Also, an architect is being paid to design the TOD bridge. Is this allowed before a project is approved? And where is the money coming from to pay these individuals? And who has approved putting them on the books? I think the last payment I saw for that is around $7,000. But there's multiple payments to an architect, and an architectural company was approved for this project.
Are you might be looking at invoices.
Minutes of meetings.
No, from the Economic Development Commission, not the Board of Selectmen.
I'll clarify it for you.
Yeah, because the Board of Selectmen has not even dealt with any of these
Yeah.
issues, but,
Just curious if an architect
Well,
can be
you know-
paid before a project is approved.
in
That's
fairness,
the
if
basic
we were
question.
going to have questions this specific, you should have given me the opportunity to look those up, because,
All right, I apologize for that.
I mean, obviously, my opponent is going through records and looking at these things, and that's.
I asked the same thing, and she didn't have previous knowledge.
All right, well then,
Yeah.
okay, then my apologies, I
Yeah,
was wrong.
we're
about that.
apologizing to each other.
Okay, but no, that it's quite possible that Economic Development Commission does that, and again, they have their own source of budget that's not related to taxpayer funds at all.
Well, let's
They
say
have-
it's any of the commissions, whether it's planning and zoning or EDC, anything like that. These people are still being paid, and the question basically becomes, can an architectural company be hired and paid before a project is approved?
Well, sometimes you have to, because.
Then where does the money come from?
Well, if this is an Economic Development Commission that's doing this, they have their own budget. They have other sources of funds,
Okay.
development funds that come from various places, the state, the other sources of funding that does not come through the Board of Finance, and it does not come from taxpayer funds. But oftentimes when you're applying for a grant for things like this, you have to show some drawings. You can't just say, here's a grant, I want, $600,000 for a bridge. You have to show what you're doing, and that could be what you were referring to with the DPZ things too, because.
Well, that's what, it makes sense
Yeah.
that you need drawings, but there are
Yeah.
budgets, and where does the money come from and all of that. I think
Yeah.
that's what people are wondering.
Okay, well, again, that did not come through the Board of Selectmen
Okay.
at all. I would have to refer you to Economic Development or P&Z. It could be either one. My guess is, from what you're saying, it's Economic Development. And they have every right to do that. If they vote to do it, that's their
Okay.
purview.
I'll get back to you on that.
Okay?